Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is, of course, me, DJ Medjai Monty, and how's about I do yet another Let's Talk? The Let's Talk I have in mind as the category is, of course, sports talk. Now, here's the thing. Me, I love sports. I've played like football, baseball, basketball, soccer, golf. I love baseball and golf mostly together, but the kind of sports I like watching though is of course basketball, baseball, and golf every now and then. And of course, most importantly, I love watching football. Pretty much, of course, NFL. But pretty much what I'm focusing on tonight is, of course, Super Bowls. But I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm going to talk about number 49 through 51 of how the sports and everything went. So pretty much, let's see, if anybody would know by now, I know. Pretty much, you can leave your comments on what kind of football fan are you. But me, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, of course. And pretty much, even though if my Vikings don't make it, I still watch the Super Bowl and everything. Pretty much, if I have to like two AFC teams, it'd be the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. But if I have to like go three others for like AFC, it would be either the Pittsburgh Steelers, Miami Dolphins, or probably the Oakland Raiders. But if those five aren't in the Super Bowl, then I would go for every other NFC team since my Vikings are in the NFC, of course. So that being said, here we go for Super Bowl 49. Now, pretty much everybody was getting at the Seahawks for what had happened with this Super Bowl 49 because well, that's the coach, of course, Pete Carroll, but but anyways, Super Bowl 49 was massively crazy. I will admit that. And yet people kept going on how the Patriots like cheated their way and everything. But hey, that it is what it is. If I'm let's see, they didn't find out. They didn't find out. Of course, by then, I'm not even sure what to think of it. But that's the thing. Nah, alright. Now it just came to me. But anyways, it was, let's see. Some would say it's the fault of Pete Carroll. Some would say it was the fault of Russell Wilson. Some would say it was even the fault of Darryl Bevell to even come up with the whole luxurious touchdown play that Malcolm Butler intercepted. And pretty much, I had thought about this. When it came down to that play, who's really to blame? Either Darryl Bevell for even thinking about that play, Pete Carroll for actually going through telling Russell Wilson to do that play, or Russell Wilson for actually going through with that play. But whatever the reason, they didn't give the Patriots that win, and pretty much that was, of course, the highlighted Super Bowl within probably all 50. There might have been like earlier Super Bowls that might have been better than the Super Bowl 49, but I would have to say that Super Bowl right there was the closest to a good game that it has ever been. However, yeah, I know. Give me 1 second. Here's what happened within Super Bowl 50. In fact, never mind. But yeah, Super Bowl 50, pretty much everybody would expect a very good Super Bowl since it's been celebrated 50 times already, 50 years. But yet that ended up being boring. And here's the thing that you had going for it. Yes, of course, there's Peyton Manning from the Denver Broncos, and yet Peyton Manning is one of the greatest NFL players of all time to lead the Denver Broncos into a Super Bowl. But anyways, about my Minnesota Vikings, yeah, they played in Super Bowl 50. Was glad to make it there as well. They did win one thing, and that is becoming the NFC North champions. And yet they played against the Seattle Seahawks in the third coldest game in the history of the NFL. And yet the score was 9-10. And pretty much at that time, yes, you of course know what happened. It's been toured. But here's the thing: nobody could blame Blair Walsh for he's the one who scored all of our points. And it was mentioned that let's see, I'm not even sure if it actually happened, but no team probably ever won a game on field goals and no touchdowns. If that ever happened, you just let me know in the comments below of what game you can remember had a team win only field goals. But anyway, with that being said, that I would say that game, it was like the Vikings against the Seahawks, was the highlighted game of the postseason of Super Bowl 50. But anyways, the Super Bowl, of course, was the Broncos against the Panthers. Now, pretty much the Panthers was the top in the NFC. Pretty much mostly undefeated until later. And you would have thought that probably the Panthers would take this thing hands down. Noticing how they gotten like real good. I mean, they made it to the championship, but when it got to Super Bowl 50, I'm not sure where or when they had decided, you know what, we made it to the championship. That's all that should matter. But doggone, the Broncos. I mean, yes, of course they had Peyton Manning, but the Broncos smoked the Panthers like they weren't nothing. And pretty much Super Bowl 50 should have been the greatest Super Bowl to celebrate 5 decades of it. But yet it was like a letdown. And pretty much you would think, oh, doggone. And so we come to Super Bowl 51, and pretty much within the past post-season of the road to Super Bowl 51, to tell you, all wild card games, they were boring. The Divisionals, they only had 2 games for that. It was the Packers and Cowboys and Steelers and Chiefs that were close to being good divisionals for Super Bowl 51. And then the AFC and NFC were boring yet again. Now here's where it got interesting. Let's see, boring, somewhat half good, boring to a massively great Super Bowl. Because here's the thing, I've watched only the half, and yet I've slept through like most of third quarter when this happened. But I've watched the first half of Super Bowl 51, and the Atlanta Falcons, they had a chance to take home the first Super Bowl trophy, leading them by freaking 21-3. Now, going on to the third quarter, they had scored yet another touchdown. And yet, by then, the Patriots had 6 points by then, making it 28-9. Now, as you guys could recall within Super Bowl 49, how a guy mentioned that no team has ever came back from a larger deficit than 7 points in the final quarter of the Super Bowl. And yet, pretty much, the New England Patriots had history made yet again, as they were down by 19 points. 19! Remember, the score is 28-9 within the fourth quarter. Somehow, the Patriots got up and over. And pretty much everybody was like, what the heck are the Falcons doing? Giving Patriots yardage and touchdowns left and right, left and right. It became massively crazy as the Patriots came back from a 19-point game to score 28 points, making it a tie, and of course making history within the Super Bowl as Super Bowl 51 became the first Super Bowl ever to go into overtime. And when that happened, New England had, of course, won the coin toss, and yet they kept running and passing the ball, and yet the game ended with the Patriots putting the ball in reach for another touchdown. Now, pretty much, yes, of course. I probably don't even know anything. Probably don't even know anything about how these things go. But yet, if I learned anything from watching Super Bowls and of course football itself, is that 3 words will tell you when it comes to sports and stuff like that. Anything can happen. So pretty much, you had like the number 1 team from the NFC, which is the Cowboys within the Cowboys within the Cowboys. Yeah, they got defeated by the Packers, who was the 6th seed. I mean, how could that happen? Like I said, anything can happen. So pretty much, you guys got good players on a team, it doesn't mean diddly squat if they weren't able to like come through wherever place. I mean, because you know how things happen and everything. But doggone, I gotta tell you, Super Bowl 51 will probably be the Super Bowl people will never ever forget. Super Bowl 51 is probably now the number 1 Super Bowl of all time. Because how in the heck could a team who was down by 19 points come back and make it into overtime just to win the game? So pretty much, yes, of course, Super Bowl 51, New England Patriots is number 1. And yeah, we of course have to deal with it. But that's how it is. So pretty much, yes, let's see, yes, you can pretty much rant on about how my Vikings didn't make the Super Bowl. You can pretty much rant on how in the heck did the Patriots ever get to the Super Bowl? How the heck did the Patriots ever win? But in the end, you cannot blame the people who took the Patriots to that Super Bowl and to win it, of course. Well, pretty much the only ones you can blame, of course, is the Atlanta Falcons. Because how in the heck did you let that happen? 19 points? That is just... But anyways, that is what I have on Super Bowls 49 through 51, of course. If you like, please give it a thumbs up. You can also comment down below, of course. To tell you something, I have still more ERB content to do, with the next one being the most one-sided ERBs, of course. And with that, you can also follow me on Twitter, yes, of course. So pretty much I thank you guys for listening to me. Let's talk about sports, NFL to be exact. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. This has been DJ Medjai Monty. Thanks.